Shalom, brothers and sisters. Brother Kawakab.
Shalom to Brahman Yatazan.
We got Brother Rashwan on the camera this evening. Tonight we're going to go ahead and break down Revelations chapter 9 and chapter 11. That's the goal for this evening. Break down, like I said, this is another installment of a series that we got going on right now called Apocalyptic Blitz. In other words, for the most part, we're going to be putting a whole lot of breakdowns concerning the succession of empires that began, of course, with Daniel chapter 2, Daniel chapter 7, on up until the book of Revelations, that also have to do with, how can I put it, how that is transpiring today, how we're actually marching closer toward the end. Like for all the current events and the things that's taking place during our time now, it's like the scriptures say, the time is nearer than when we believe. And if Paul could say that over 2,000 years ago, then how much more evident is it now? So we're going to start off with Revelation chapter 9 and verse 1. Matter of fact, this is what I want to do. We're going to do something different. Our approach to it, we're going to start off with chapter 8 and read the last verse. Okay. Revelation chapter 8, verse 13.
Revelation chapter 8 and verse 13. And I beheld and heard an angel flying through the midst of heaven, saying with a loud voice, Woe, woe, woe to the inhabitants of the earth, by reason of the other voices of the trumpet of the three angels, which are yet to sound.
So it's telling you from the time of Revelation chapter 5 on up until chapter 8, angels that let me say this, the Most High is revealing to us occurrences, significant current events, significant historical events that he relates to us in trumpets. Like this one particularly said that there had yet 3 more angels for the trumpet to sound. With those 3 angels sounding each one his trumpet, there would be a woe. So when he said woe, woe, woe to the inhabitants of the earth by reason of the 3 trumpets that have yet to sound, is literally talking about there are 3 more woes that remain. Those woes are what we refer to today as World War I, World War II, both lines, both past events, and World War III, the last and final war of our age. And of that time period, those 7 trumpets, we actually are in the 6th trumpet. So the scriptures in Revelation speak of 7 seals that have to be broken. It speaks of 7 trumpets that have to sound. It speaks of 7 vials having to be poured out upon the earth. Those are, and Job in chapter 5 speaks of 7 troubles that must occur. So in other words, it's talking about from the time the Most High gave his vision to John the Apostle, which is known as John the Revelator, the author of about, 5 books? The book of St. John, you got 1 John, 2 John, 3 John, and the book of Revelation. 5 works that we got in the New Testament of the Apostle John. So this is what we're going to break down. So now, you read chapter 8, verse 13 one more time.
Revelation chapter 8 and verse 13. And I beheld and heard an angel flying through the midst of heaven, saying with a loud voice, Woe, woe, woe to the inhabitants of the earth.
3 woes. Go ahead.
By reason of the other voices of the trumpet of the 3 angels, which are yet to sound.
Okay, now from there, what event that the majority of Revelation chapter 9 is describing is World War I. Now, we're going to prove that first, then we're going to come back and start with chapter 9, verse 1. So we're going to go right to chapter 9 and verse 12. Go ahead.
Revelation chapter 9 and verse 12. 1 woe is past, and behold, there come 2 woes more hereafter.
Check that out. 1 woe is past, and behold, there come 2 woes more hereafter. Now, we're going to get into the meat of it. So you're going to hit verse. The point is, I kind of want you to understand that the scriptures let us know specifically that in the playing out of the history of man, there would be 3 great events that would be considered woes. As a matter of fact, so great that the First World War wasn't even given the name World War I. You know why? Because people weren't expecting for it to be a second one. That was supposed to be the war to end all wars, and it was touted that was one of the reasons that was used to try to create a League of Nations at the closing of what is known now as World War I. After World War I, it was referred, you go read history books, and it's referred to as the Great War. Because nothing like that had ever happened before. Referred to as the Great War. Then, once World War II happened, it began afterward to be referred to as World War I and then World War II. So that was the first war, was the Great War that's spoken of. We're going to give you the dynamic of prophesy, of how it was prophesied beforehand. Go ahead, brother. Verse 1 now. Chapter 9 of Revelation and verse 1.
Revelation chapter 9 and verse 1. And the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth. And to him was given the key of the bottomless pit.
Now listen, normally we was taught to break that down as Kaiser Wilhelm. Now this is what I'm going to show you. This isn't talking so much about Kaiser Wilhelm II, as it is talking about the event that precipitated the World War that followed. In other words, why do I say that? Because it says, and the fifth angel sounded in what?
And the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth.
Now when we read the scriptures, even Christ in the Gospels referred to that in the last days the stars will fall from heaven. So is it talking about the actual celestial lights that was created, you know what I'm saying, on the fourth day, actually falling to the heavens? No, it's talking about knowing individuals falling from one estate or going from one estate to another estate. So if we're talking about World War I, if this verse or if this chapter is breaking down the dynamic leading to and including World War I, then what was the event that precipitated it? What was the event that gave rise to that event? It was literally the assassination of Austro-Hungarian Archduke Franz Ferdinand. Well, it was in 1914 that he was assassinated while he was doing visiting the capital of Bosnia. He was in Sarajevo in a motorcade. And him and his wife Sophie got assassinated by some cat named Gavrilo Princip. This was a cat that belonged to the Serbian group called the Black Hand that shot him. So, let me say this. So, and what he was the son, I didn't get it right. I'll put it like this. He was the heir to the throne of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, which at the time was power. Their number one ally was the recently created, I say recently, maybe 67 years earlier, 60 some odd years earlier, back in the 1870s, the German Empire under Otto von Bismarck, who was the chancellor at the time, and Wilhelm I, the German Empire was created. In other words, it's involving those two. The German Empire at the time, Kaiser Wilhelm II, at the time of the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. So, in other words, this was the star that actually fell. This cat got put to death. He was the heir of the Austrian. Let me say this, and I'm going to reiterate this a lot. A lot of brothers don't know how I'm going to put it like this, how heavy a European power the Austro-Hungarian Empire was. But they had the second, as far as geography goes, in geography, their empire mass was only second to that of the Russian Empire at the time. The Russian Empire being ruled at the time by the Romanovs, the family dynasty known as the Romanovs. So you had this individual from the Habsburg dynasty, whose name was Franz Ferdinand, the heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne, the empire, whose family, by the way, like I said, they ruled, their family sat on all the major thrones of Europe. They sat on the throne of Britain for so many years. They sat on the throne of Portugal, of Spain. The Habsburg family, the house of Habsburg was divided into two, as a matter of fact, households, and the greater one was Italian. They ran Italy for a long time. They had emperors in the 16th century, the 1500s, thrones of Rome. They sat on the thrones of the Holy Roman Empire. They had that family line, Habsburg of Austria-Hungary, actually sat as emperors to Mexico. So they were symbolic. And this was the actual event that precipitated the world war that we get ready to read about. Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
Revelation chapter 9 verse 2. And he opened the bottomless pit, and there arose a smoke out of the pit.
Now when they say he opened the bottomless pit, how could a dead man open the bottomless pit? The dead man didn't open the bottomless pit. You had Joseph Ferdinand, who was the emperor at the time. When I don't want to get it wrong, I think it was Franz Ferdinand's father, but Joseph Ferdinand I. This dude, when you read the history books, they'll tell you that Kaiser Wilhelm II gave him a blank check, because what he was trying to do, when it says he opened and he opened the bottomless pit, and there arose a smoke out of the pit, upon the assassination of Franz Ferdinand, the Austro-Hungarian government, they went and issued a list of demands to Serbia. The list of demands included things that they knew Serbia wouldn't comply with, and that would give them the justification of invading Serbia. Turns out of all the points, Serbia agreed to, because it wasn't Serbia, although it was a Serbian group. The actual secret society called the Black Hand was ruled by a mediator group who had ties with British MI6. It all came down to the British and the French, who really wanted to take down number one, the German Empire, because at the turn of the century, like from the 1870s up into the 1910, 1920, the new rising industrial power and production force of Europe was Germany. They were the most industrialized nation of Europe at the time, but they couldn't get directly to Germany, so they went and attacked they put like this, they created an event that would lure Germany in, and that was the Austro-Hungarian Archduke being assassinated. So during the year of 1914, it basically turned out that the Austro-Hungarian Empire invaded Serbia. And that's really what started World War I, was the invasion of Serbia by the Austro-Hungarian War. And then the Serbs actually had the Russians who came to back them up, who was given the Austro-Hungarian problem. They was whooping their asses basically. And it was through that, we showed you how this thing was almost totally not related, or only indirectly related. Because once Germany joined in, Germany didn't join in on the Eastern Front. Germany joined in by attacking France. When you check out World War I, because Germany was trying to get some territories that they had lost in the previous war to France. You understand? So let me say this. So I'm not going to sit here and say, Kaiser Wilhelm jumped up and said, I'm going to go and conquer the world. That ain't how it went down. There was a lot of things going on behind the scenes. But what the scripture is talking about, literally, verse 1, when it says, star fell and to him was given, in other words, it's talking about an event. Ballers, the players that created a circumstance that precipitated World War I. And that was the event. You understand? Okay, from there, read verse 2 again.
Revelation 9 verse 2. And he opened the bottomless pit.
Now the bottomless pit, we're going to do we're going to go to that map there so you can get there when you can. The bottomless pit is literally, and I want to get, this is tight. Okay, I want you to pan up to the title. The First Worldwide War from 1914 to 1918. It says from 1914 to 1918 because that's the time span of the hostilities. In other words, the actual fighting. But the war didn't officially end until the signing of the Treaty of Versailles in 1919. It was a 5-year ordeal. Now, what I want you to do, Rashwan, I want you to come on in and encircle all of Europe. If you can, I want you to include England also, okay? This whole area here, so that the people can see.